Welcome to Served Unfiltered. This is Vito. I'm your host. Let's get started.
Hi, I'm Emily Johnson, and you're listening to Comfortably Uncomfortable, a podcast about discovering the beauty, the benefits, and the unexpected breakthroughs that come from stepping outside of our comfort zones. This isn't about having it all figured out, but rather showing vulnerability through personal stories and everyday situations that challenge us to grow. If you're on a journey of self-discovery and growth, you're in the right place. Stay tuned, and together we can get comfortably uncomfortable.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Served Unfiltered, your podcast where we have the honesty, real life, and a little bit of crazy. Today, I'm not alone. I have Emily, whose voice and perspective I deeply respect. And Emily, thank you so very much for being here
Absolutely.
and accepting the invitation to a chat on something that's as incredible as your podcast. And, you know, it's going to be a moment of truth on my end for my listeners. And we would talk about the version of you that almost quit. So thank you so very much again. And can you please tell us a little bit more about you and your podcast?
Well, thank you for having me. I told you it was an honor to be invited to, participate in this with you. My podcast is Comfortably Uncomfortable, and it is basically just kind of putting ourselves, or I guess like getting out of your comfort zone and finding the beauty in all things that make us uncomfortable. Because I feel like
Uh,
I was inspired just by the challenges that I face and knowing that I wanted something more and seeing all the beauty that lies within, like trucking through the hard stuff. So that's what brought me to my podcast. And yeah, I feel like it's uh, impacted a lot of people because we can all relate to, challenging ourselves and I don't know, doing something that makes us uncomfortable.
where there's comfort, there's no growth.
Yeah,
So
true.
you're fantastic. Your podcast is fantastic. Comfortably uncomfortable. Google it, check it out. Spotify, Apple Tunes, whatever, everything, everywhere. Everyone thinks that strength is a little loud, right? You gotta look tough, you gotta act tough, you gotta have that face of I know it all, I can do it all. But the day you almost quit is the day that was actually silent, right? We didn't share too much. So what do you think that actually the day made it look heroic for you? And how did you overcome that obstacle that was literally a day that you almost quit?
I think it's like the desire in you that knows you want more. So I feel like you just kind of, or like at least for me, I don't think there was like a specific day of like walking away from something and feeling like I need to leave it behind, if that makes sense. It was kind of like when you go through all these like hard things and you're facing all these different challenges, but you know that there's something more. So I feel like it's like the desire for myself of wanting more. And I knew deep down in order to get more, I had to push myself through. So I don't know. I think it's just like the fire inside of you. I feel like when you really want something, you go after it.
It's, it's the moment that people don't see, right? It's something that you feel. It's the moment before the comeback, right? You overcome whatever you need to overcome, and you have the fire, and you keep going for the fire, and try to utilize that fire for something bigger and better, right? When you're not done, but how you know that you're not done? Like, what are your signs that that you're tired, but you still keep going and you just don't give up? Give me an example of what actually made you keep going and not the actual fire that you're chasing as the big picture. There had to be small things or people around you that pushed you to do more and not quit.
I say all the time that it is so important to surround yourself with people who uplift you and people who support you and want what's best for you because I think, a lot of my community or when I first moved here was obviously in Charlotte because I didn't know anybody. So I think just like staying in touch with my friends and family that, like inspire me to keep going because they think, of you in a certain way. And then I think just like putting yourself out there in your new environment to find people that are kind of like-minded and have the same goals as you and kind of like align with what you want. So I think that was for me really important because I think it was just like everybody I surrounded myself that kind of pushed me to keep going. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yes, 100% it makes sense because, when I moved here from Europe, I moved here when I was 21, not even 21. The idea of comfort was there. The idea of discomfort was there, right? You keep doing all these things that are the right things to do. They're the things that you have to do or you need to do to survive. But when it comes to the actual quitting, you turn around and you ask yourself, is that whole thing worth it? Because you're at the stage of your life that you don't know if it's worth it because it doesn't have the track line yet. Like you don't see anything from it. So, I was almost quit a few times because everything that you do, you're doing it for yourself. You're doing it for the fire. You had that fire in you. You keep going. But sometimes I feel like the fire was burning me.
Yeah.
So you always keep grinding and you always want to do more. You're trying to overcome any obstacles that are coming your way. You're trying to adjust to any situations that are in front of you. And when it comes to, actually that encouragement is exactly this, the people that you surround yourself with, the people that have that idea of you and help you get to where you want to be. Because we say, oh, we're self enough. I don't need to be dating. I'm okay on my own. I don't need to do, XYZ. But at the same time, we do need that little comfort when it comes to our personal growth. So we don't stop pushing for ourselves. And that's maybe your family or friends. And I completely understand, how you felt when you moved because, leaving something so leaving your comfort zone, literally leaving your comfort zone here, having everything you want, your friends are here, family here. If you wanted to be extra successful and make double and triple the money that you're making in that exact moment, you could have, but you didn't want to because you knew that that's not who you are. So you keep chasing Emily just because you wanted to find that Emily that you're happy with.
Yeah.
Getting to the moment that you quit, it's not really that you're quitting actually, it's the mental stage of you falling behind on your own dreams. Because you want to be successful in XYZ. You want to do career change. You want to have that fantastic relationship that we all see over social media, which we know 75% it's not, it's not there. When it comes to you know the people who believe in you, they're there to support you. And then, of course, you meet the people that you weren't enough for them, right? How do you deal with these type of people? Like, when do you sense that you feel like you're not enough for them?
I feel like when you feel drained, when you feel like unmotivated, or when you feel like it's something that's like kind of making you feel uneasy versus like making you feel like good about yourself. I think that's kind of when you know you need to like separate, if
You drive by energy, right? You drive everything by energy.
for sure.
I love that. I love that.
You have to. And I feel like that you can only really do that when you're like fully in tune and like connected with yourself, you know? I feel like we can all like feel energy, but you can really feel it if you focus on, I don't know, your inner.
You again is the same thing that me and you we had this conversation about my last episode about being grateful is the same thing. Like, if you don't know yourself, if you don't know your energy, if you don't know what kind of energy you're giving, you would never be able to read other people's energy, and you're just going to go into a circle of actually not knowing who you surround yourself with, because you have to get to know yourself first. And that's all of your life. You learn something new about yourself every day. And that's what should be one of the reasons that you don't stop and you don't quit, because you need to know you need to know what makes you happy, and you need to know how to keep going forward.
Yeah. I think for me, like I really fully discovered stuff like that when I was, forced to be on my own. And I feel like when you're at a low with everything, like emotionally and mentally and physically and spiritually and financially, and just like everything is just, you feel like you're at the bottom. That's when it's so important to like really sit with yourself and figure out, okay, like how can I change all of these different areas of my life. Like what do I have to do in order to bring me from the lowest to, a little bit higher? And I don't know, I say all the time too, like it's so important to sit with yourself because that's the only way you can really discover what you need to do in order to like go after the things you like really want.
You know, feeling that you're close to failure is probably one of the worst feelings ever I've experienced. And that's exactly, the way that you described it is like being literally at your lowest low of not knowing what's next. You have nobody to rely on for anything, or at least you don't want to share it because you want to get through it alone. And that's, the way that you said it, to sit with yourself, it's something really important. How I see it is you actually have to know what you're going after. You have to know your small steps before you look at the big picture. And if you start slowly giving up in the beginning stage, you're gonna be like you said it. It's just gonna be, alone, dark, and it sucks. It definitely sucks because a lot of people probably know, but a lot of people don't know how hard it is to leave everything go somewhere, and that somewhere is not what you expected in the beginning. Because, nobody likes changes.
Right.
The first 3 months they suck. No matter what kind of change, you make. It could be, job change or whatever. The first 3 months are no fun. So I think just the way you said it, it's important to sit with yourself. And that's fantastic advice. And I'm going to start, actually using this because you need a meeting with your inner you, knowing what's going on. Sometimes survival looks like stubbornness, right?
Yeah.
We're doing it. We need to, you look at it like, oh, okay, well, she moved there just because, she's stubborn and she wants to do everything on her own. Right. It's the same thing with me, you know, move somewhere because you're stubborn and, you just want to do everything on your own. But, we're this type of people. And I know you are like this. We can't stand down. Can you settle for less?
No. Who wants
Are
to settle
you
for less?
are you willing to settle for less?
I don't think so. Are you?
No.
Yeah, no, I don't think I want ever less than what I like feel like I deserve or what I can get. I don't know. That's why I don't know. Yeah, definitely not settle for less.
Do you stay in your comfort zone for too long? And when is too long?
I think there's been times where I have stayed in my comfort zone too long. I think everybody does, and not like I still probably do in some setting. Even this, like I didn't want to do video podcasting, or I did, but I didn't because I just didn't feel like I was ready for it. And it was funny because you threw it at me like comfortably uncomfortable, like get on screen. So this is like, so that I will say I was kind of trying to stay comfortable for a while. And I think it wasn't like, I didn't have an idea of how long I was going to. Like I knew I eventually wanted to move into video, but it was like almost making excuses for myself. Like, oh, like I don't have to do it quite yet. Like I will do it eventually, like later down the road. And then I don't know, someone like you comes along or, something comes along. I always say like utilize your resources, whether it's like people who are placed in your life or like the knowledge you're gaining from some kind of experience or like reading a book, like utilize what we're given. And then that way we can like grow and get out of our comfort zone. So in this case, again, back to like the video, it's like I utilized you as my resource. I was like, okay, wait, Vito wants me on his podcast. He does videoing. This is my opportunity to get my stuff together, like get my act together in terms of like getting my video camera, getting my setup, like doing all these things to prepare me for like when I start recording for my season.
Yes. Yes. And I'm so glad that you said yes, because I was like, and usually people who have podcasts, and again, just so everybody knows that, you're inspiration for me too. You're my inspiration that I started a podcast.
Well, thank you.
And actually to get out there and, I was listening to your podcast and was literally one of your first episodes that you were literally saying about, the comfort zone, the being in your comfort zone, to push yourself more. And I sat literally on my own and I was thinking, I was like, what? Okay, so I'm overachiever at work. I'm overachiever in, any situationships I have.
Hmm.
I'm overachiever, with my friends. I always want to do something more for them. I always want to do something more for, at work, something that's, outside of my scope. I want to put more pressure on me. And I thrive at this. I thrive being pushed to the limit. I was like, I've always wanted, I have a blog. Like I've been blogging for, you know, 12 years, 13 years. I don't know. I started in Bulgaria. I've been in the States for 9. So yes, the way I was driving, I will never forget that. I just left work and I was like, I'm opening the podcast right now and I'm started listening to it because you were on my to-do list literally because I go by agendas every day. You were on my to-do list and literally says, listen to M's podcast.
I love that.
And I'm getting in the car and, I had to do some shopping and then I'm getting in and like one of the few things that you said, like literally in the beginning was, staying, staying in the comfort sometimes becomes a problem or your problems become something. It was something in that I was like, oh my God, I'm starting a podcast. Like she's literally inspiration. Like the fact that you have a podcast and the fact that I know you now for, for quite a while. Quite a while, what, 5 years? I would
Yeah.
say. We know each other for 5 years. And I was like, it's not that, oh, she has a podcast, I want to start a podcast. I'm like, no, it's more like what you said, because I always leave my comfort zone for everybody else. But when it's something about me, I'm like, I don't need to do it. It's the same thing, with you. I've blogged so much, but I never decided to start a podcast. The same thing with you, the podcast and the video, it's exactly that feeling of like, okay, I have no problem push myself out of my comfort zone for everything else. But when it comes to, something to do it for me and me only, it's like, that can wait.
It's a cool outlet, right? It's a cool outlet to express yourself different than writing or, keeping things to yourself. But then also like just the thought of leaving an impact on someone, even if you're touching one person, you've done what you've set out to do, right? So I think that like itself is cool because like anything that you say, it's like could resonate with someone and make them like feel inspired to take their next step to achieve whatever they have set out for themselves. So it's just cool. It's kind of like a chain reaction of just like, oh, like along the way, we're just like, lifting people up as best you can.
and and the support that we've received doing this, I know for sure, and you received amazing support from everybody, and on my end too, because that's exactly why you should not quit, right? Because it's easy, you start something and then has like one like or has like one view or has, oh no, I don't want to spend the money for equipment, or I don't have the time. It's the biggest excuse. I don't have time for this. I don't have time for that. But if it's something that makes you happy, then why we don't, happiness does not count in likes. It doesn't count like your product, your happiness of, recording your podcast, right? You record your podcast, for 30, 40 minutes and then you're like done, published, and you're, all happy and excited. And that's what actually is more worth it than the actual, downloads or likes or, whatever else you can benefit from, having a podcast just on the financial part of it. The outlet that you're using for being happy. And that's exactly what I think it's because you didn't quit, right? You were about to launch season 2 because you didn't quit.
Yeah.
And, it's exciting. Did you even think that you're going to get there?
I don't know. No, it's not that I didn't think that I was not going to. I guess I had to start in order to see how far I would go, right? I back to kind of like supportive people. It's like I really only told a handful of people I wanted to do it. And those little people, those few people that I told were like pushing me to like, come on, do it. Like, when are you going to do it? Like, get going, get going. And then I think when you do it, and then I think I had like, what, 17 episodes? 18 maybe. I think I just released one last week, so 18. Like then you get feedback and then you see how people like well or like how well it's received, and then it motivates you to keep going. You're like, wait, they like this so much, and you're not going to continue on a path and do worse than what you did, right? Like you're always going to evolve, or you're always going to want to evolve. You're always going to want to grow and expand. And so it's like I know that whatever I did last year, I'll be able to like amplify this year because I'm like moving in the direction to like be better. And I think you get better the more you put, when it comes to anything, you just get better the more energy and effort you put into doing something. So
And the energy and the effort are again really important for that exact reason of not quitting, because you're the one who holds everything together in your life, right? You're the glue between, you're the balance and the glue between, job, hobbies, relationship, friendships, family. You have to know how to uplift yourself, right? And having that podcast, it's uplifting. It's uplifting your energy. The feedback from it, it's uplifting you. Um, it brings that energy out of just because it's something that she did and something that she enjoys. So you give your energy out to people, and then they give that feedback and that positivity back to you. So it's a chain reaction. You give to get, and
yeah.
it's nice because meanwhile you want to do it, you're doing it for you, you're good at it. I love your podcast.
Thank you. But you know what? It's like you start with like these fears and these insecurities. So it's like or at least I did. I'm sure you did too. It's like the first thing, the first release, you're like, I don't know what people are going to think. Like, I don't even, kind of how we were talking about our voices. Like, we hate the sound of our voices. And then I was telling you, I was like, that used to be my fear. And then I'm like, okay, I talk all day long to people, like, in general. Everybody listens to my voice every day. Just because I have to listen to it back over and over again doesn't mean I should hate it? So it's like you talk yourself out of like things like that. And then, I don't know, it's satisfying.
It's satisfying, and it gives you got to give yourself credit. You got to give
We all
yourself
pat
credit.
ourselves on the back, right?
Another thing I wanted to kind of get with you and your opinion on is, do you feel lonely when you're alone, or do you enjoy being alone?
This is a question that is kind of like, what's the word to say? Like, yes and no. Like I love my alone time. Sometimes it's so scary how much I love being alone because that's just really where I can figure out like me. But also in the same sentence, it does get lonely being alone because you feel like you're alone, right? But overall, I think I started reframing the loneliness side of it and thinking of like the power of solitude. Sitting by yourself is very powerful because you do discover all these things. And for me, like, especially like me time is so important, whether it's like first thing in the morning or last thing before bed. Like, I always make sure that I'm doing something like fully for me, like to really kind of dig into myself. I think that's where I discover most. That's where I can like meditation. I meditate a lot, and I think that's what helps me kind of not feel like the alone time is lonely. But sure to say that like lonely times get lonely, especially coming from like a city where I feel like I was running into friends anywhere I went, or like always
Right.
having the option to like do anything with a friend. Where it's here, it's like I didn't have that luxury. I do more so now, now that I've been here
Of
for a
course,
while
we're
and
like established. Yeah.
meeting new people. But I think that alone was important for me to not have access to so many people because it forced me to be lonely. But yeah, I mean, I think it's like
50-50. How about and this is a question that you don't have to answer. How about your love life? Do you think that you need somebody, or do you think that it would be nice to have somebody? That makes sense?
yeah.
Do I like construct that like, well?
Yeah. I don't think I need someone. I think I would absolutely loves to have someone. However, I only want them if they're like feeding into what I'm already giving myself. You know what I mean? Like I need someone to like match my energy or like amplify it per se. And like, I am kind of like particular about who gets like so much of me,
Mhm.
which I think we should all be. Like I don't like to waste my time with someone who kind of makes me feel like less than. Which, I feel like we all have. We've all spent time with people who don't deserve our time, yet they've gotten a lot more of it than they need to. But no, I think at this stage in my life, I'm fully meeting people who are like kind of in tune with the things I want. Have been hanging out with someone who likes to go to yoga, who likes to go on walks, who likes to do the same things that I like to do, who's like
You do.
a caring person, and that's the kind of like stuff. That's the kind of people that I feel like just keep kind of surrounding me. So it's like, I don't know, I
You're
had my fair share of dealing with like people that I didn't need to be dealing with. So I don't know. Did that answer?
I love your answer, and you're 100% correct, because it's this it's it's the fair share, how I like to say it. It's you're giving something, you're giving your energy, you're giving your time, you're giving your resources, and you want them to be respected, right? You want to be respected, and nobody likes to waste their time, even though, like you said, that we all done it. We all give ourselves the time that we don't need, and we give our time to somebody who doesn't need it. But do you make a lot of compromises with you in your beliefs, or you're at the stage of life that everything is a set in stone when it comes to your personal beliefs, regardless if it's for a relationship or anything else? Like, are you okay with people making mistakes occasionally, or you're one of those people that you make mistake one, you're done?
No, I'm very flexible and I'm very forgiving. I think you figure out how to like place people.
You do?
Yeah, I think it's important to. I don't like to I don't know if the correct term would be like burning bridges. Like I don't like to end things on sour notes. I feel
No.
like that's unnecessary, but also like I I don't know. I feel like I'm very understanding. So I know that people make mistakes. I look at it, if I were to make a mistake, I would want someone to forgive me, you know? So it would be unfair for me to say nobody can make mistakes, but if I make a mistake, it's totally acceptable.
Okay. Because
So
see, I'm the same way. Um, the only difference is that I caught myself that I've gotten better, by the way. But I've caught myself that I'm slowly ghosting.
no, you don't ghost.
Uh, No, when it comes to, like, when I say like ghosting, like, don't, and I'm not like, just all of a sudden like I disappear, but I slowly start avoiding them. And just because they didn't do something the way I wanted to be done, or they didn't say something because, XYZ reasons, and they did have their valid reasons, but it's more like I think I'm at the stage of getting to know myself, how I act and react in the communication with people, including, the business communication, including, relationship, including, family conversations and whatnot. I think I'm just now, starting to explore that side of me of actually being forgiven and to forgive, in a
Mhm.
meaning of like actually not go that deep and that petty when it comes to that, I'm sorry kind of thing, or I didn't see it, or, like, I'm kind of more relaxed now.
Would you say you avoid communication or you feel like when you do communicate, it comes off in a way that you don't want it to?
It comes the way I don't avoid communication. I communicate for everything and with everyone at all times, regardless if the conversation is pleasant or not. I mean, I've been with the same company for the past 8 years.
Mhm.
The communication is key. Sometimes I come off very rude and aggressive and demanding. The word is demanding, and not demanding at work. Because at work I've created my standards and everybody follows my lead, because I like to call myself a leader, and that's, I am a leader. I don't micromanage. Being a general manager, it's, you're the dishwasher, you're the bartender, you're everything. The title is just your title is just paperwork in my world. And leading a team made me realize that communication is important. The problem, Emily, is I have a business Vito, and then I have Vito in personal life. And now, past 6, 7 months, they're slowly starting to get in a sync, because
Mhm.
before that was not like this. Like, I was saying things at work that I would not do in personal life.
Like for
And
better or for worse?
for both, for
Fair.
both, because it's you go all in, you say, oh, you have to do this, you have to do this, you have to do this, and then I'm literally clocking out, and I'm like, I will never do that, but it worked. I'm doing it. So communication now is getting better because I started communicating with myself first. I start to actually think
Mm-hmm.
before I say something, and I have a very short fuse, very short fuse, and I think that's one of the reasons why I almost quit of, being in the States and trying to, to create a life that I want for myself. And, that I actually quit was exactly something that having that short fuse kind of helped me get out, because I was thinking that everything is done, everything is over. I was extremely broke. I was drinking excessively. Realizing that you have a problem at 23, it sucks, especially drinking problem. And it's not drink. I was not even partying. I was drinking at home.
Mm.
And that short fuse was like, all right, that's not who I am. I gotta get up. I gotta do something, right? I gotta do something for myself, regardless if it's just gonna be, me trying to make money to go back home and just be done with America and American dream and just be over it. Go and start over again, or actually get and build something for me here, which I can gladly say that I did just fine. And when I said it just fine, I mean it by I go to bed happy now, because it's one of the most important things for me is you have to do at least one thing a day that makes you happy.
100%.
And regardless if it's something, work related, dog related, relationship, whatever, you have to do at least one thing that makes you happy. Because if you don't go to bed happy, you have a problem.
Yeah. Well, you know what your story says a lot about you is that you were self-aware. You realized that there was a problem that you needed to fix in order for you to get out of what you probably came here for, right? Is like you saw something more for yourself and you kind of started to lose yourself over it, but you realized it before you kind of got too far gone.
Having high expectations for yourself, sometimes can really sucks, right?
Bittersweet.
Because yep, it's bittersweet, because you've always wanted to do more. You've always wanted to have more. You want to have everything. You want to, you want to have the perfect body. You want to have the nice car. You want to make, XYZ amount of money. But also you're putting your 140% out there trying to achieve something. And then you turn around and you're not even happy. You're not even, you have to be happy through the process of getting something done, not just for the final product. You actually gotta, kind of enjoy the whole idea of, okay, I'm working towards, better body, or I'm working towards, something. That's what have to make you happy. And then the final product is your reward, right? When you achieve whatever you want to achieve, you're like, damn, I did it. On to the next.
Love a checklist.
Listen, I see your stories. I know that you enjoy your checklists a lot. Tell me one thing. Why did you decide to start your podcast? What was your inspiration?
I like to write. I feel like I've always been like into journaling. And then sometimes I'll like reread what I wrote and I'm just like, oh, wow, like that is kind of something that I could like elaborate on. And then I feel like kind of how I was saying with the journey of facing challenges when I, took the step to move and get fully out of my comfort zone. I was like, so many people can relate to something like this, like relate to how hard it is, but how like fulfilling it is when you get to the other side of it. And so I think I kind of wanted to like share that journey because I don't know. I really don't. I should probably like sit and like reflect on what was like the
The turning
full,
point kind of thing. Yeah.
yeah, like the moment that made me feel like, let me do a podcast. I think I listened to a lot of podcasts and I always felt like inspired by what other people were saying. And I feel like I've always been told that I am inspiring. So I was like, okay, maybe I'll just use like what I like to, like how I like to live and talk about it. Because it's so easy for someone to look at your life and think like you have it all figured out, that you are like, I don't know, just almost untouchable, like, oh, like she does this, so she has no problems, right? And so I think I kind of wanted to expose more of like the realness of like what goes through setting yourself up to do something and going after it.
And you are inspiration. You're inspiration for me, for sure. It's amazing because, and as you said, doing things and people only seeing the final product, they don't see the steps that you made or the sacrifices that you made or the challenges that you face. They only see the final product. They only see Emily in her new apartment in a new city, and they think that life is 100% great and 100% pink, but they don't see the actual effort you put in to be there and the actual life that you're living in the beginning, all alone, far away from everything, to get
Yeah.
to the point now that you're like, shit, I fucking did it and I'm enjoying it.
It's satisfying. It's kind of like how we were saying, like when you want something more, you like fully go after it. Like you get sick of like having a weak mindset or feeling depressed or unhappy. Like in the only way you can change that is by making yourself do something about it. Like living with purpose and figuring out what drives you and what makes you feel like you're making a difference not only for yourself but for others, because I feel like that goes a long way.
it it definitely does, because if you don't have purpose every single day, at least small one, like I said, like something that will make you happy today, that should be your first step in the morning. Like if going to the gym is going to make you happy today, go to the gym. If not going to the gym is going to make you happy today, don't go to the gym. You know what I'm saying? Like you got to do something that makes you happy. You know, living by checklist is one thing, which is fantastic. I do it, unfortunately. But
Unfortunately, don't
me,
that's unfortunate.
no, because I've always thought, like growing up, I'm raised by people that, you know, extremely elevated, and you know I've never saw them having a list to mark things down. And
Mhm.
meanwhile, I'm over here pulling up, the phone, and literally says, from 10 to 10:30, you listen to, an Emily's podcast, So I'm like, i- happiness, it's a something that you feel and you can measure, which I think in our world is something that you're not done, you're tired, but you still got to do one thing that makes you happy. And I'm really excited about the fact that you said yes to a record this with me, and not here today physically, but spending your time and your energy with me today, because again, your voice is something that I truly respect, and your opinion like truly matters for me, because it's the same thing, whenever you text me, and about like the first episode, and you said, oh, you have to do this and this, and I was like, done.
No, I wasn't telling you you had to. I was just giving you, like, advice. Like,
Feedback.
it's nice to hear from someone else, because I love when I have someone who's, like, in a different stage who can guide me in a direction that, like, kinda just, like, you know, keeps me on the path. It's like
Yes.
it's nice to have someone who helps you versus like, I mean, you helped me with this, like the other day when we were like on the phone and like FaceTime figuring out how to like set up, like we were both trying to we were both figuring stuff out. So it was cool to like do that together and just like be there for each other.
And you know what it is, Em, is like, even though that we don't talk every day, we don't text every day, and we don't see each other every day. I think that the stages of our life are kind of matching, and the things that we want to do are kind of aligned. So that's why whenever I thought about getting to guests after my 10 episode, like I wanted the first 10 to be, only me, and me, because the world revolves around me, and, I'm the happy clown, and, everything has to be Vito. What I actually was thinking about, and that, that topic came to me, was like, oh my God, she literally, like, she moved somewhere all alone. Now she's doing this. Now she's living her best life. We need, I think that you're gonna be like the perfect one for this conversation. And I'm like, again, like I don't think I'm gonna have a guest till the next episode. I mean, until the 10th episode, because I still want to keep you as part of my personal growth, because you are part of my personal growth. Every day we learn something new. And you know having having that strength of knowing you, because I call this a strength, it's nice. It's nice to know that I can go and be like, all right, let's talk about something. Like, help me out here. It's the fact that you were committed to you and your podcast and your surroundings. Your ideas behind your podcast are fantastic. I mean, I don't think I'm gonna get another text message from somebody asking me, am I happy?
Yeah.
So this is a little sneak peek here.
It's
But yeah, we don't even ask each other that question. And it's coming from somebody who, and you don't talk that often, actually clicks in your head. And you're like, I no fucking clue. Am I happy? Right? Because it's nice that somebody somewhere actually thinking about that and trying to utilize your voice for something bigger and something more important than just ourselves. Because as you can see, unfortunately nowadays everybody's extremely self-centered and everything is a problem and everything is a very sensitive topic. Everything becomes very fragile.
Mhm.
And it's really nice, and I'm extremely thankful for for saying yes on this.
Yeah. Well, what's
Really
cool
cool.
about like our friendship is the way it started. It's like I feel like it's so important to value connections. And obviously, we connected through mutual friends. And then it was kind of up to both of us to see how we were going to grow that original connection, right? So even when it starts as something as like, okay, you become friends on social media and you're, involved in your posts, like whether you're like swiping up you or like in your DMs like messaging each other
Mhm.
or supporting like to me when I first released my podcast I anybody who like immediately went and followed my page or immediately like sent me some kind of congratulations like has stuck with me like you automatically like put like have a special place in my heart just based off of
Uh-huh.
that, you know what I mean? And honestly I feel like that's kind of where like our relationship really kind of starts to grow is because like when you can support someone or show them love or just show up for them, it goes a long way, right? I'm sure you can relate when you started yours and just had, people like showing you all the love. It makes you feel a special type of way to know, like, okay, this connection is more than just like a connection. This is like something that you want to nurture because like you said, you're aligned. We're aligned with each other.
And again, the support is something important, so we don't quit, right? You
Yeah.
don't. Again, you could have easily said, shit, I got 2 downloads and 4 likes. I'm releasing one more episode, and then I don't care, right? But then when you receive the feedback from people that or you know of, and they're like, oh my god, this was amazing, or this episode is fire, or that's what makes you keep going. So we're going back to the one of the first things that you said at this episode is like, it's really important who you surround yourself with, because if your energy does not match, then they don't deserve your energy.
Right. I like discovered how important it is to figure out your core values and then based off of what your core value is to like live your life catered to that. So like for me, my core value is growth. In every aspect of my life, I want to grow. So if it's like in a relationship, like with friends or people, like if it's not going to blossom, then it's like there's no energy that I'm going to put towards that with like, like my like a healthy lifestyle. If it's not going to take me to the next level of like, the body I want or the health, the whatever
Yep.
it is, like if something is not helping you evolve for me, like then I don't want that part of like my life. So I think it's so important to figure out what your core value is because then everything else you will like fully cater to like growth or like, whatever it is for you.
No, and I 100% agree. The problem here for some people, and some people, I mean me as well, we are staying too much in our comfort zone. And okay, that something does not need your energy, or you like that will not blossom, like you said, but you're still there out of comfort, because the headaches that are coming after you make the change are brutal, and you don't want to deal with it. You just stay there because you have to stay there. I learned this, that this is probably like one of the biggest problems that, I have, and not only me. I see how, people around me, they have situations like this that, there is no immediate change. You should not make immediate change. You should investigate, see what the opportunities are out there, and then you make the step. Don't just go, like full chaos and, dropping people out and trying to find something that deserves your energy. You got to recharge your own energy first and then start rebuilding again, and limit how much you give from your energy to the things that you don't want around you. Because it's easy. Yeah, let's say you see that the relationship with XYZ would not blossom. You've been together for, let's say a year. The immediate change will bring that depression and that, oh, fuck kind of moment, because you made an impulsive decision. Even though sometimes impulsive decisions are the best decisions, but you made an impulsive decision because you still have not recharged your energy back of actually getting yourself to that level to be able to give again, or have that conversation, the hard conversation at work, or have that conversation with the friend or the family member that occupies your energy, and you're like, all right, well, that doesn't go anywhere. I have to cut it. But before you make the cut, you got to make sure you measure it right, because you don't want to leave yourself in a situation that's going to suck for a month, for example, getting me back again and trying to do all the things that I did, or what I used to do with XYZ or person or job or whatever. Again, it's, in my opinion, the way that you said it, it's fantastic. But there are people like me, for example, that I just can't. I will make a decision that does not involve other people like this. When it involves other people in personal life, at work, no, at work, I'm getting paid to make decisions. But in personal life, I try to avoid making decisions for somebody else. And sometimes I can't even guide. I advise, but I'm not one of those friends of like, no, I told you that you should not be doing this. I would never say that, because everybody has to go through their own path. And I really want to get to the stage of you being able to not cut, but limit yourself, because I, on the other hand, stay too much in my comfort zone when it comes to situations like this.
Well, kind of like I mentioned before, I think being aware is, a key component to change. I think as long as like, this is kind of what you're doing and you don't necessarily want to do that anymore, at least you're aware enough to know, like, okay, well, the next step is to make changes. Sometimes you're like kind of battling with yourself, figuring out like what needs to be done, but what you want to do. And you kind of have to find the balance in that. You're like, oh, I don't want to do this because it's like scary, but at the same time, you need to do it. So it's like fighting that resistance to just, okay, like do it. I feel like everything is always rewarded. So when you take the step to do something that is uncomfortable, there is a reward on the other side of it, big or small, like you're gaining something from it. And it's usually for
Better.
your better good. Yeah. Like it's usually for something that will benefit you.
That version of you that never quits is actually the one who deserves gratitude, right?
Every version of us deserves gratitude. We should be thankful for the whole journey, because kind of like the "Who Are You" episode, like everything of that we experience makes us, who we are, and it takes us to where we want to go. So it's like it's important to give yourself grace and to also give yourself thanks for pushing through, or just dealing with whatever you've dealt with.
That's something really important, and it's something that, again, you have to commit to yourself. You have to commit to your own personal feelings, because if you start neglecting those feelings, like I do sometimes, really sucks, because
We're all guilty of it.
it's one of the things that it's like, you want to do it, but you don't. It's I'm grateful for what I've achieved, and I'm sure that you are there as well. What the take from this episode should be for everyone is, I think, don't quit. Stay there, keep pushing, and keep going.
There's always a light at the end of the tunnel, even when you can't see it yet. You know, I feel like we've always been told that, or it's like the rainbow after the rain.
I love that, and that was a fantastic quote.
There's always
Well,
something more.
And Emily, thank you so very much, baby, for being here. Thank you
Yes.
so very much for joining me. Thank you so very much for bringing your honesty, your voice, your face.
Yeah.
No me. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you for getting me out of my comfort zone.
Listen, I have to be good at least at something, right?
You are. You are great.
Thank you so very much for your time and your patience, and thank you for actually bringing that energy of people who've been there and people who did not give up and actually show us what your stake of the whole thing was and what you gave to just keep pushing and going forward, because we can't just give up. So for all the people out there who has not listened to a podcast, do yourself a favor, go ahead, download it, take it, listen to it, because she knows how to push comfort zones. She knows what to tell you. She knows how to make you think of yourself first and what actually will make you happy. And you have to do things for yourself first before you start giving away your energy. I love that this whole episode is turning to energy, and I'm like so excited about it. But yes, I love you. Thank you so very much.
No, absolutely. This was great. I mean, when I, get my season going, I would definitely love to have you on. And I think there's so much more that we could talk about and relate to and share. So I can't wait
There,
to have.
that would not be, yeah, I would not be the first and the last episode with you 100%. I'm pretty sure that we can do more. Again, thank you so very much for actually being here and sharing your personal experience with
Hey, well,
me.
I thank you for your continuous support because that means a lot to me. And like I told you the other day, I was like, it truly does go a long way. So I genuinely appreciate all that you are and all that you've done for me as well.
Thank you very much. All the kisses.
Yes.
You've just finished another episode of Served Unfiltered, and I appreciate you more than you know. If you're growing with me, hit follow, leave a review, and let's keep building the community of real, honest humans. I'm Vito, reminding you that your story deserves to be heard, your effort deserves to be seen, and your dreams deserve your discipline. See you next episode.